welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to talk about narrative theory. I'll start with what we refer to as traditional narrative theory, which often also referred to as linear narrative theory. Okay, so we have a Todorovian narrative, Todorov the theorist, so his name needs a capital T, and he identified a formula where, again, having looked at classical fairy tales, he acknowledged a chronological order, hence the phrase linear, as in a straight line. So chronological in the order that it happens. The character experiences the narrative in the order that they experience the events as they unfold, and we, the audience, also experience them in that same chronological order. Okay, often referred to as having a beginning, middle, and end. However, subject terminology at this stage, which might well be more sophisticated, could be equilibrium, disequilibrium, and re-equilibrium, as in some sort of status quo, some sort of disruption to that status quo, and at the end it's been solved. We might not return to the original status quo, but there is now a new situation where the original disequilibrium has been resolved in some fashion. Okay, the characters as a result of this process will have changed in some way, and this is what we refer to as character development. A similar three-part structure exists for Sid Field, who acknowledged again a beginning, middle, and end. However, he referred to these as Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Or again, sophisticated subject terminology at this stage could be setup, confrontation, and a resolution, both of which are referring to stories or narratives that occur chronologically. Okay. Another traditional narrative theory could be the Proppian character archetypes. Propp is a person, so his name needs a capital P like Todorov. He does have two P's at the end, different to prop as in a prop, a physical object prop, so this is his name. And again, having looked at traditional fairy tales, identified that characters could often be categorized into some similar reoccurring roles. It doesn't mean that all 7 have to occur every single time. It just means that more often than not, characters could fall into these categories. You may find that a character falls into 2 of them. So, for example, the dispatcher may also be the donor, for example. Okay, as well. For example, you might find the false hero is often also the villain. Okay, villain at this stage, perhaps a more sophisticated phrase could be antagonist, much like hero. More sophisticated phrase could be protagonist. Okay, princess, the Proppian princess, is a phrase that you will perhaps use often, and I've got some examples here. So, for example, we've got the villain, we've got the helper. Okay, we've got the Proppian princess, and we've got the hero. This may well be an instance to talk about femme fatale and anti-hero. They are not Proppian character archetypes unto themselves, but they're often used alongside them because they are archetypes that have developed over the years as well, which you may want to refer to as well. Okay, we also have binary opposites. Levi Strauss, the theorist there. Okay, usually referred to as your good versus evil, black versus white, superhuman versus human. Okay, a risk here to talk about for evaluation is that they often create negative stereotypes, and they can be quite problematic, particularly when referring to gender. For example, strong man versus weak female. Okay, so please take note of that when using this narrative theory. Again, an anti-hero argument could come into play here, because an anti-hero is often referred to as not black nor white, which is why sometimes they're referred to as grey. Okay, a blend of the two. The binary opposites, good versus evil, black versus white, black hat versus white hat, is a narrative theory that was used in cowboy films, in the cowboy genre, and has resurfaced in particular recently with Westworld, where you enter the theme park with either a black or white hat and play either a good or bad character. Then we look at non-linear narrative theory. Okay, traditional Todorovian narratives or Sid Field would occur in chronological order. Non-linear is not straight line, as in they occur in some sort of fractured or distorted or inverted or in subverted order. Okay, usually to generate some sort of confusion early on in the narrative, perhaps intentionally, or perhaps to leave some sort of mystery to be solved later on. Okay, this could be done via a flashback or a flash forward, which will usually occur after or before some sort of time jump into the future or the past. It could be in the form of a distorted memory that we don't fully see. We see bits of it. We may well be discovering a character who's just woken up in a state of confusion, and we're experiencing their confusion as well as they are. Okay, it may well be a premonition. A character may well have a vision of the future that they fully don't understand yet, and we don't understand it yet as audience members. And sometimes the use of a flashback or a fragmented memory could then become an Enigma code, which we will talk about now. Okay, some sort of question or mystery to be solved. Okay, usually in the form of a prop or a character that doesn't make sense yet. We might see something that doesn't make sense. We might see something that we're supposed to question and go, oh, what was that? Why was that there? And then maybe remember it and come back to it later. We often associate Enigma codes with ABC1 audience members because we assume they have an education and can fully appreciate that they're not meant to understand yet, and that all will be revealed in time. Okay, it may well be used as a tease to keep them interested. In the first 5 minutes, you might introduce an Enigma code or a question that makes them question, well, hold on, I need to know the answer to that. I'm going to stick around till the last 45 minutes of the film where I imagine I will be informed. Okay, it then rewards ABC1 audience members for staying until the end of the film. So Enigma codes, again, props. So for example, in I Am Legend, there is a Time magazine front cover on the character's fridge. There's a number of Enigma codes scattered throughout his house, the location of New York, okay, which aren't always resolved. Sometimes those Easter eggs and those Enigma codes are never resolved, and it may well be allowed, ABC1 audience members may well be allowed to answer those questions themselves, perhaps, or it may well be a prop that comes back later on and is important to the narrative in the final act, perhaps. Okay, and an example of the flashbacks and flash forwards also occur in I Am Legend. For example, this is a newsreel of a flashback, then we have a time jump into the present day, or from this point of view, the future. Okay, so to summarize, linear narratives occur chronologically. Todorovian, Sid Field. Character archetypes that fall into those traditional character groupings, okay, could be Proppian. Okay, we also have femme fatale and anti-heroes to talk about at that stage. Binary opposites also allow us to talk about character archetypes that fit into traditional molds. Okay, non-linear narratives, flashbacks, flash forwards, Enigma codes. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.